everybody. This is Michelle Price here from Startup Grind in Houston. And Startup Grind, we are the largest startup community in the world. And our focus is to change the world one startup at a time. Our values are about give first, make friends, help others. And what we find in embodying that and encompassing that, it allows us to really be able to live our mission, which is to give startups everywhere the education and the opportunity to build, to grow, and to scale their companies. And with that in mind, our community here in Houston, we do talk to startups, founders, innovators, creators. Houston specifically as a chapter focuses on marginalized voices. And so you're going to notice that we have different guests behind our mic than you will see in other startup communities. With Houston being an international city and one of the largest ports in the country, we have 2 international airports. We have 145 languages spoken in our city, and we have been the seat of the most diverse city in the United States for a while, even though some of y'all keep insisting it's New York. We took it away a long time ago. Now, my goal for the Houston chapter is to be the bridge for cities and countries around the world to be able to be a connection point for marginalized voices in the startup space. So today I brought you Kirsten Rourke because she is a really masterful communicator. And you guys know my passion for how important it is for you entrepreneurs and founders to be great communicators. So we want our startup community to learn how to get buy-in and support from your stakeholders, your new customers, your investors. So please share with us, Kirsten, who are you and what do you do?
So I am someone who's been a public speaker, technical trainer, and instructional designer for 22 years. I am now a public speaking coach, and I work with people to do something called speaker choreography, which means I'm thrilled with the words. The words matter. We're going to work on the words. We're going to work on your voice. But what else? What is your face doing? What are your hands doing? What's your body doing? If you're in a physical space, what are you doing on stage? All of it either adds to your message or doesn't help you. So if you're not clued into it, it's not helping your message. And why not make your message go further? So that's what I do.
Love that. That always surprised me how many people didn't understand how important it is. I love that you use the word choreography. The dancer in me from 30 years ago totally relates to that. People really they aren't always aware of how important how you deliver your message is. They think as long as I'm upbeat or I keep a certain tonality, or even some of them are aware enough of how important their pacing is in their delivery, but they don't think a lot about what happens with their body and how it affects people's brains and whether they tune you in or tune you out.
Yeah. Every public speaking opportunity is a performance. That does not mean it is inauthentic. The best speaking that you can do is fully authentic, but it's a performance. You have to realize that you're trying to reach someone who has a completely different perspective and brain and different set of eyes, and you're trying to get behind that to see you so that you know how to communicate with them. You have to be able to get them to you for that to work.
And that's something a lot of founders, when they're pitching, they're so nervous.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're trying to get more users, more customers. A lot of times the audience in which they're doing pitching, if it's not a contest, it's a mixed audience. And so their brains a lot of times are conflicted in, do I speak to the investor in the crowd? Do I speak to the potential customers in the crowd? And they don't always understand that you can actually do both in the same pitch.
Yep. Yep. There are common pain points. There's common points of driver, of interest. And honestly, if you're compelling and engaging, if your story makes emotional connections, that's going to work for people, even if you're not hitting exactly their message. They're going to still read what your intention is. So that matters.
It does matter. And it's something I'd like to see more startup founders understand, comprehend, and be really aware of. Yeah, we get it. You basically heard from a lot of cis white males who are investors tell you this is what I want to hear in a pitch. But what they're not going to tell you is, because it's not their area of expertise, is what it means to actually connect with not just their head, but their head and their heart.
Mm-hmm.
As many times as we've had investors in the chair talk about what's important and how they connect with people, a lot of times the founders in the audience will miss hearing. And when an investor says that, I go, repeat that again louder.
Yeah. Yep.
Of what it was that really caused them to want to invest. And they've every one of them that I've had in the chair have all said, I've got to like the person and want to work with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that gets me is public speaking, for one, no, it's not a natural skill that some people have and some don't. That's not it. Some are introverted, some are extroverted. That's fine. But everybody has public speaking skills. It's a learned skill. And being nervous doesn't go away, at least not in my world, because I want my battery. I want my butterflies. I just want my butterflies to fly in formation. Like, I want to have control over the nervousness, but I need that energy. And the thing that really gets me is the easiest way to connect with people is to connect to your passion. Like, my driver is I learned the way everybody learns still, which is thrown in front of audiences and just survive it. Thrown in front of your boss, in front of your customers, in front of a crowd or whatever. You get up there, you practice a little, but then you get up there and you do it and you get through it and you didn't die. Good for you. That is 100% the wrong way of doing it. If you want people to be naturally good, adaptable speakers in less than years, then that's not going to work. That's not the way to do it. So it's just really, it's kind of my driver right now, is I want to fix it.
I can totally appreciate that. One of the things that surprised me, and we've known each other, I don't know, about a year.
Yeah.
And, we belong to a women's group, women's executive group, and we haven't got to spend a whole lot of time, one-on-one. But something that caught me off guard as I do what I do, and that's really dive deep into people's expertise when I want to put them behind the mic.
Yep.
I did not know you were an instructional designer. How did that help prepare you for your next phase of growth and expertise as speaking, being the path to reach and influence your ideal customers?
So I am on version 3.2 of the Kirsten. That's where I am. So version 1.0 was occupational therapy. I worked at Easter Seals. Version 2.0 was I ended up in technical training and instructional design, and I did that freelance for 22 years. Then 3.0 is I shifted into being an entrepreneur and taking direct clients and all of that. And now I'm in 3.2 because I keep we're point release, we're improving. Everything that you have in your past feeds what you are now and who you are now. My first iteration of my career, the technical breakdown that you have to do occupational therapy with patients is what helped me be a technical trainer. And the technical training helped me learn instructional design and learn how to shape instruction, which I also had learned a lot of ways in the OT world. Well, all of that feeds into being a speaker, because as a speaker, you have to be adaptable in the moment. Unless you are delivering set words and the audience doesn't matter, in which case, make a video. Don't be in front of an audience. If you are delivering your content is an interaction with humans, which means it's dynamic. It has to flow. It has to expand. It has to contract. You might have to suddenly change. You might have to answer questions that come out of nowhere. It's a dance. All right. You and I both have dance backgrounds. It's a dance. It's an interaction. And everything that you do in speaking is a dynamic flow with connecting with other human beings. And if you're not connecting with other human beings, then why are you there? And why are they there? Reading your deck at somebody is the most disrespectful thing you could possibly do. They can, you want them to read the PowerPoint, mail it to them, put it in an email. But the PowerPoint, if you use one, is there to support you. You are the message. So the whole way that public speaking is handled in businesses most of it hurts my soul right now, to be honest. I'm like, no, not like that. Not like that. That's not it. So I really love the instructional design piece of being able to just look at a massive amount of information and highlight out the things that speak to the goal and the audience. And then from that, craft something. And then that gets delivered. And that's how you write a speech. I mean, it's the same way. Instructional design is a core part of my work with everybody. So I love it.
Say, besides that's how you write a speech, that's how you need to think about delivering your pitch as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And for people who aren't aware, by the way, instructional design is designing instruction. That's what it is you're taking all of this information and you're shaping it based on a set of criteria you want to meet. So that's really the art for it, is that's what it is. And I love it. I mean, in my business, it's a small company. There's only 5 of us, but the 3 of us all have instructional design skills. So we put our heads together and we have this shared brain. And one is a college professor. One worked in K-12. I worked in corporate. So all of us come together and we have this 3D model of how to look at material. It's a lot of fun.
It sounds like a lot of fun. It reminds me of one of my earlier fireside chats when the community, because this was like 9 years ago. So they had a lot of different questions than they do now, because they've evolved their needs, even though there's a flow of different levels of understanding that continues to come through the community. And I remember they said, Michelle, can you find someone who they're willing to talk about how did the business, the CEO founder find their tech founder? And oh my God, we were blessed with the most perfect pair, because they both went down the rabbit holes of what the experience was like for them. And so you could literally see how different it was for, the business CEO founder and how he constructed looking for the tech founder. And then when the tech founder was talking, he's like, now, while those goals were important to him, here's what was important to me.
Yeah.
But I found myself every time he would make a point, I'd go, guys, did you get that gold he just delivered you? How are you speaking to what they want to accomplish?
Yep.
What would you say to a founder who's listening today and they're in the early stages of being able to voice what they're wanting to accomplish, who they're trying to reach. They're still beginning that whole process of what it means to influence people with their voice.
So I'd say, first of all, obviously knowing your drivers and your passion is important, but getting really key on who you want to serve. And then what does your passion transform in their lives? What is the impact that you're having on them? That's what you have to lead with. It's not about us. It's always about them. So your passion kind of needs to drive you into a pulling in mode of being able to pull in what are their wants, what are their needs, what are their desires. Now, how can you shape that into being, in a relationship, business relationship with you provides these outcomes. Here is the transformation that happens. And how you get that is by working with, your business. And that's a much easier place to be than, I really love this. I know it's important. You need it. You're then hitting all of the walls inside them. If you come from the back end and you come from inside of like the pull of their true desires, you can speak to pain points. That's fine. But the real money isn't in pain. Lower level shopping is in pain. Upper level shopping is in desire. And that's really where it's like, I can have you, that dream you have, we can get there. We can get there together. And in fact, I can get you there faster than you would get there on your own. That's speaking to an upper level buyer because they care about speed. They're not, the price point is not the first issue for them. First issue for them is, can I get it? And can I get it quick? So those kind of things, you really want to just be shaping all of your messaging around remembering that it's not us. It's always about them. I hope that answers that question. I'm not sure if it does.
And it's interesting because I'm sitting here and what happens when I listen to people give really great responses like that is I'm literally seeing people over time where they got stuck at the point that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because so often it is important for founders to actually love the problem they're solving, their solution. But a lot of times they get so stuck at talking about their idea or solution that they isolate the idea and they don't bridge it and connect it with the person that's going to have it as a solution.
Yep. And if you're seeing the video, yes, you saw me mute my mic so I could give treats to my dog. She's helping. Yeah, it's the hardest part is always in helping people kind of craft their messages is everybody defaults to, but it's just me. I'm the one that has this issue. I'm the one that's nervous. I'm the one that has this problem. And it's not you. The commonality of human experience is just incredibly vast. The fact that you're uncomfortable in, getting up on a stage. Well, everyone in the audience understands that. Everyone in the audience feels that. Thank you, Angel, for helping. I really, really appreciate your support. In, being honest about it doesn't hurt anybody. They want you to succeed. What they don't want to do is feel bad for you. So if you can relax into, hey, you know what? I'm really nervous and I would pick up this microphone and walk around, but I might drop it and I have not reached the mic drop moment. We're going to get there. Like you can turn it into something good, but you can start with, yeah, little jittery. Anybody who's had too many cups of coffee? Just share that. The people are human. They just never want to feel bad for you. Never make your audience feel bad for you. I mean, if you do it in the middle of your speech and then pull out of it. Like if it can be a choice, like you can actually hit the angst of your message, but not in the first beginning. and hell of a not at the end. If you end on sad, I'm going to come talk to you and we're going to have a conversation, because that is not how you do it. If you can go all the way through tragedy, but you got to hook at the end, you got to pull it up. You got to leave that room better than you found them. If you leave them crying, it has to be in a good cry, not a bad cry.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I literally had an envision of a pitch competition we had, and because we have the world's largest medical center here, and that's a huge pillar for the Houston community. Of course, we have a lot of startups in that space.
Yep.
Even if they didn't originate here, they come here. And in the healthcare medical space, especially when they're solving something that like save lives kind of thing versus, more of a background support, make systems happen better. They don't always understand that. They think, if I pull on those heartstrings really hard, well, you gave a perfect example of it's not bad to pull on the heartstrings, but you can't leave them in pain.
Never. And this happened in a really big auditorium with everybody in the crowd were experienced, and the person on stage was very experienced. And he went into something that happened to be something connected to my background. And he was talking about these, big tragedies, and my uncle worked in the field, like I was connected to it. So I was watching and I'm going, okay. And then it got a little too real, and I had to walk outside and take some air. And I came back and I'm like, all right, he's going intense. That's fine. But then he ended on the most angsty, sad note. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And everyone at that table, because we were this was a group of speakers, everyone at that table got angry. Every single one of us went, nope, that is not how you do it. Nope, you do not. You can have people feel bad, but they need to have a little bit of the sweet, a little bit. It can be mixed, but there's got to be that, okay, there's some hope. You don't want to leave people with no hope. Why would you want people to leave, feeling the lack of hope causes inertia. You want movement, right?
Yes.
So don't cause people inertia. Don't cause them to feel like they should shut down and give up. Give them something. It can be bittersweet if you want to go there. That's fine, but it's got to have a little bit of something. Something.
I love how this segues into the last piece that we wanted to talk about today, and that is how important it is for founders to remember, since we're facing so much repetition, and it's only going to get more in the whole AI approach to everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone. What would you say to founders when they're thinking about developing themselves and their human voice? What kind of advice would you give them to think about as we continue to move more and more in this AI world? And some people do feel frozen or like, oh my God, this is just going to bring bad things. How can they turn that to work for them?
I've encountered this a couple of times in this last week alone. My background's in learning and development, so the L&D space. My current world is the speaker space. Both of them were talking about AI. Both of them are talking about ChatGPT. And they were saying, oh my God, people are going to be bringing this and it's going to ruin my business. And I'm like, no, it's a tool. If you show them the before and after, you can show them what the tool did, but the tool is not going to be as good as what you could do. So why not show them both? Or how they can use the tool, but then you have to improve on it. You can't leave it there. If you leave it there, you're going to get everybody sounding the same and it's going to be mush. And it's one of those, you got new tools, adopt the tool, show the pros and cons, and then do a version that is your version and have it got to be demonstrably better. And then the comparison is obvious. But it's like, you can start with this, but no one is going to be able to reach other humans as well as a human can. We are not to the point, despite I got into it with somebody politely, because I am a voiceover artist advocate. I want voiceover artists to do, audiobooks and e-learning. I think they should be in all the things. AI voices are fine for, like the rudimentary instructions for the, Department of Motor Vehicles. Okay, fine, if you want to. But it's your first pass, you do the AI. The second pass, you hire a VO artist and you get them to come in and do a performance because it is a performance. And I had somebody say, well, AI is getting to where, no, it can do performance. And I'm like, actually, yeah, you can tweak the formula to hit something specific in that moment. That is not the same as asking a voiceover artist to give you 3 different renditions. I want a rendition that is got that leaning in kind of need that, oh, could I have that? Could I have that cup of coffee? And then I want the version that is I need that cup of coffee. And then the version of, I really want coffee. And AI is not going to give you that. A voiceover artist can. And that's why it's like, don't be afraid of the tech. Just lean into the fact that humans will always connect with humans better than anything else. And just roll with it. That's my take.
Yeah, I can't imagine how, in all fairness, we're just going to call it a machine,
Mm-hmm.
how a machine can duplicate energetics, because it literally does not have that component as part of its makeup. And that's where I think a lot of people aren't thinking, because I get it. Most people in the business space don't talk about energetics or spirituality as much as I do, but that's also why my clients get really powerful results, because it's not about me talking about spirituality. It's about me helping them to connect to those pieces inside of them and amplify what's already inside of them.
Yeah. Triggering someone's passion. I have people saying, oh, I listen to audiobooks. It doesn't matter if it's a person or if it's a computer. And I'm like, no, I won't buy audiobooks that aren't read by an artist. And I can tell within the first minute. I listen to samples, and within the first minute, I'm like, nope. If you didn't care enough about your work to hire somebody, I'm not interested. And what you're talking about, you're bringing out their deeper passion. That comes out in your voice, even if you don't intend it to. So the more you trigger, the more you're pulling out that core stuff, that shows up. It shows up in your face. It shows up in your eyes, your coloring, I'm lifted in the sternum, I'm leaning in. All of that happens automatically, and it changes the nature of the work. So why wouldn't it change the ability of someone to receive your message? People can tell when you're not connected to your passion.
Well, Kirsten, can you tell everyone who's listening to us today, if they're sitting there and they're thinking, she's talking about things that I don't have a good grasp on, and they would benefit me, my startup, or a competition I have coming up, or I am actually going for Series A funding, and this sounds like a missing piece that could help me get there. How can people work with you?
Well, my last name is Rourke, Rourke. Rourke Training is my website. That is where you can find me. I am on Rourke Training everywhere, but that's the place. Come have a discovery call. And it would be great to, figure out what it is that you want to meet for your goals and how we can get there together. I would love that. That would be lovely. Oh, and I have a podcast. Let me hit the podcast. So I have Ongoing Mastery, Presenting and Speaking is my podcast. I should say that too. So that's another place.
I will make sure I'll make sure that we link to those in the event page to make it
Thank
easy
you.
for people to find.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. This
Well,
was fun. I
wanna
really like
thank
this.
you. Yeah, I want to thank you so much for allowing us to just kind of have a flow of a conversation today. It was really different than a typical fireside chat, but I also know that that's one of the reasons why people love what we do in Houston, because we tend to find the outer edge of things that people aren't doing. It's just
Yep.
part of our team.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate your flexibility and Angel chiming in and helping us. It could be it's the joy of what happens when you're doing a live connection. It happens. You roll with whatever comes up. So thank you for being gracious. I appreciate it.
Certainly, certainly. And so this is June, our SGWomen month, which is exactly why we had a woman here talking to you about how to help you improve your presentation skills, how you're going to influence the audience, bring in the new potential customers for your startup, or even win some of that money and funding that you need so that you can continue to grow and scale. So thank you everybody for tuning in. And also remember, you are always welcome to email me and say, hey, Michelle, can you bring someone who can talk about this, or ask me if I can get someone specific. I'll certainly try it. I did a pretty good job of getting an awful lot of yeses when I had my radio show. So I'll put that into work for you here at Startup Grind.
Love it.